One of my grandfathers had a petrol station and worked for Shell, and the other a tannery. So I feel almost naughty to discuss a car that runs on electricity, has synthetic leather interior, and only really stops at a petrol station for a pit stop. But I'm feeling rebellious, and you would too if you were presented with a Kia EV6 GT line. It's a car that would have made my grandfather's mouth slacken with shock, but everything evolves and cars are no different. I've been driving this for the last week with my family of 3 to see just how evolved that experience is. So let's check it out. This variant of the EV6 is an all-wheel drive and comes with dual electric motors, one at the front and one at the rear. It is honestly just so smooth to drive. The suspension is forgiving, but really, the fun factor is what earns its points because it is so much fun to drive. It's got plenty of power when you put your foot down. It's sort of like a Ferrari golf cart, but it's very stable in corners and you feel solidly placed on the road. The regen braking, which is when the motor becomes a generator of unused power when you take your foot off the accelerator or when you apply the brakes. When it's in level 3, you pretty much don't touch your brakes at all, which, did take a little bit to get used to. Even on some of these country roads, the cabin is fairly quiet, which is lovely. It's a really nice experience to drive this. It's futuristic, but accessible, which is a really good pairing to have. Drivers will enjoy it, but also newbies too. I found this to be very simple to park. The steering is direct and the camera system is fantastic. Look at how clear the camera views are, and the 360-degree view makes it easy to navigate into a spot. I quite like the park assist function. Say you've come back to your car and some jerk in a dual cab ute has parked next to you. Not pointing any fingers at my cameraman. Well, no problem, not an issue. The GT line all-wheel drive has a range of 484 kilometers, but like a petrol car, the harder you drive it, the quicker it will deplete. The clever regen braking means that it prowls happily in the city and you'll likely gain percentage when you go down a mountain. After driving a couple of hours out of Sydney and my, regular driving around town and school runs, I was down to 46% in the battery, and that was after 5 days of use. I actually thought that was fantastic, and I definitely didn't have range anxiety like I thought I would. Actually, I felt rather relaxed when I've checked the remaining percentage. The only concern I've had is that there's not a lot of charging options outside of the city. It's very easy to charge this car. The EV6 comes with a variety of plug options, so you should be able to charge at most charging sites. All you have to do is open the charging panel, follow the instructions on the charging site, plug it in, and away you go. Very simple. Pretty much the only big task is downloading the correct charging app and then filling in your billing details. I think we should touch upon charging etiquette. It can be quite frustrating when you turn up to a spot, it's already in use, but the car's already charged and the owner's nowhere in sight and doesn't return to the vehicle for quite a long time. They're not parking spots. And with chargers not being in abundance outside of the city, I think it's polite to stay close to your vehicle if you can, or at least take a look at the estimated charging time so you can come back in time after stretching your legs. You can charge up at home with a standard plug, which is very handy, but you will be without your car for a fair amount of time. There is the option of installing a wall box type charger at home, which does cost extra, but you will get extra charging power. It's just gorgeous in here. It's great leg and headroom, and you're immediately drawn to the mixed materials on the dash and the seats. With the black headliner, sunroof, and features like the heated steering wheel, it's very plush. It feels bold, but intuitive to use. Buttons are where you expect them to be, but still feel special. Check out this cool touch panel here. You can flip between the climate control with one button, and suddenly you're in the main controls. I'm a big fan of the storage in this car. The glove box is huge and the center console is quite deep, but I also really love the little shelf underneath the floating console. It's huge and very handy to put a handbag or devices while they're charging, because you have one 12-volt port, two USB-C ports, and a USB-A port as well. You have multiple cubbies throughout, including a drink bottle holder in each door, two cup holders up front, and this little key cubby, so there's heaps of storage up front. The seats feel lovely. Both can be adjusted electrically and have lumbar support, but they're rather shallow. There's no knee support, but they do have heated and ventilated functions, which is awesome. The seats also tilt back in a relaxing mode. I guess this would be good if you stopped for a rest break. The back window is quite narrow, so it hinders visibility. Plus, on a rainy day, you'll find that it's annoying because there's no window wiper back there. The dash is headlined by this beautiful curved digital panel, which incorporates the instrument panel and the touchscreen multimedia system. The touchscreen has been very easy to use, and I like that it has built-in sat-nav. You can also customize it quite a lot to make it feel like your own, which is a real plus. I was disappointed that this doesn't have wireless Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, only wired, but it was very easy to connect my iPhone 8 Plus to it. It's always good to have a head-up display. I find them very handy, but this one can feel a little bit trippy if you look at it too long, and my eyes did hurt as if it was a bit out of focus. I did try to adjust it, but it still stayed the same. I'm 168 centimeters or 5'6", and I feel great being back here. There's plenty of room. The shallow floor does mean that your knees feel a bit tucked up, but overall, it's really good. Something to note, despite the wide door apertures, make sure you duck your head before you slide in. It's very easy to knock it. There's not as much happening back here as the front, and the hard plastics are more pronounced, but I do like the hard kick plates, which are always practical for little feet. The dark privacy glass really cut out the glare for my 5-year-old, but the taller window sills meant that he didn't have as much view as what he was hoping for. I like that the USB-C charging ports are on the side of the seats. I feel like that's quite practical, and it's great to have charging options in the back. And you also have an AC 250 volt port for a plug when you're on the go, say you're camping and you want to charge something, you've got that down here too. And the directional air vents are actually located on the B-pillar, which I always think is more practical than when they're on the middle console. There's some good storage too, with the drink bottle holders in each door, as well as the same little cubby in the door handle. Plus, you get a very comfortable armrest with retractable cup holders. So when you slide this back, you actually have a decent tray here. There are 2 ISOFIX mounts on the outboard seats, plus 3 top tether child seat mounts. But realistically, you're only going to fit 2 child seats back here. But it was very easy to fit my harness booster seat, which was a plus. There's a good amount of room for front occupants when a 0 to 4 rearward facing child seat is installed too. I love the boot. It feels cavernous because of how high the lid opens, sort of like a liftback or hatchback. You know, you can fit bigger gear up top, which is just fantastic. There's a 12-volt port and luggage anchors, plus handy cargo blind and luggage net to help you store your gear. If you like the peace of mind of a spare tyre, you're out of luck. No EV6 model carries one. Instead, you get this puncture repair kit. But I guess that's the compromise of having all of that internal space. The EV6 has the practical feature of a powered tailgate with a handy hands-free function. This is one of the few cars where the inside and outside vie for your attention in equal measure. I've had a lot of looks driving it, and I even got stopped in the local supermarket to talk about it. A car like this will definitely stoke interest and turn heads. Like many EVs, the design has been toyed with and stands out from its fuel-based siblings. It's got big, delicious curves all over, but the sharp sloped nose makes it pop out. It looks so different, it's almost unmistakable as an EV. I'm not sure how this will age, but I like it, and you can't deny that this has curbside presence. The big 20-inch wheels and slopey body styling reminds me of a sci-fi movie, and the interior ambient lighting creates an interstellar experience at night. See what I did there? This is the GT Line all-wheel drive, and you can pick it up for around $88,000 before on-road costs. It's pretty expensive compared to a conventional car, but decent value for an EV. It has some nice features like LED lights and daytime running lights, sunroof, heated and ventilated front seats, to name a few. There are some things that I think could have been done better, like an upgrade of materials on the inside, but as it stands, you get a lot of features for your money and the driving performance is very good. Really, only problem will be trying to find one to buy or waiting a while, at least at the moment, for the one that you've ordered. The GT Line comes with great safety features, including rear and forward collision warnings, rear cross traffic alert, AEB with car, pedestrian, cyclist, and junction turning warnings. It also has a cool blind spot monitoring system that includes a camera view that pops up on the instrument panel when you indicate, which I thought would be great in the city with all of the bike lanes. It has all the usual airbags plus a center airbag up front. It scored a maximum 5-star ANCAP safety rating from testing done in 2022, so it's still nice and fresh. The EV6 comes with Kia's 7-year unlimited kilometre warranty, whichever occurs first, which is pretty good. The battery is covered by this too, but only up to 150,000 kilometres. Kia only guarantees that they will provide a battery of 70% of the original capacity if a replacement or repair is needed. I think it would be prudent to follow the recommendations for charging to give your battery the longest possible life. There is 3, 5 and 7-year cap price servicing available. And on the 7-year plan, it averages at $226 per service, which is very affordable. Servicing intervals are also reasonable at every 12 months or 15,000 kilometres. I'm seriously considering an EV because this is beautiful to look at. The interior is fresh. I love the storage capacity as well because it just makes it feel like a family car. Also, bonus, it drives beautifully. If you can get past the price, just keep in mind that it takes more planning to use an EV, especially for longer road trips where you have to plot your course more carefully than you would a conventional car, which is why I probably wouldn't have this as my sole family car, as I don't live in the city, and depending on your situation, you may not be able to have a charger at home in the garage. Still, this may suit a family living in the city best, but it still ticks a lot of boxes, so this earns a 9 out of 10 from me. My son thought this looked like a space car, but there wasn't a lot happening in the back for him, so he gave it a 7 out of 10. If you're after more details, check out the full review at the Cars Guide website. The link will be in the description, and I'll see you next week.